onset of the Civil War that Increase's three sons, Albert, Charles, and William, enlisted for the side of the Union. Shortly after, their nephew Increase Stevenson joined up as well. Of the four men from that family, only one returned and lived out the remainder of his days in Little Sturgeon. During World War I, Anton F. Kircher, a resident of Maplewood, was assigned to Company L of the 30th Infantry and completed his training at Camp Green in North Carolina. I had the privilege of reading many of the letters that he wrote home to his family during this time. In one of his letters to his sister, he comments about Army life, the nearby scenery, which included an abundance of cotton fields and the warm, sunny weather. He tells his sister not to get discouraged when the snow flies and piles up, because Door County is as good as any and is ahead of this country in every way. When Anton arrived in France, he sent another letter home letting his sister know that he took out an additional $5,000 of life insurance to total $10,000, the maximum allotted to a soldier. He had his mother and father listed as the beneficiary, and he assured his sister that there wouldn't be a need for it and wrote, "Do not worry about me, for I will take care of myself." In his last letter home on July 11th of 1918, from the front lines, he writes, "We are kept busy here, digging shell-proof dugouts or trenches, and at times are kept going for 24 hours, so you can see that we are not at a picnic." Within 2 weeks' time, his parents would receive word that their son had been killed in action on July 25th, 1918. Private Anton Kircher was 27 years old and is buried in the Wazan American Cemetery and Memorial in Picardy, France. One of the longest continuous military campaigns of World War II was the Battle of the Atlantic. For those of us from Door County, it is hard to imagine the United States Coast Guard vessels sailing in any other waterways except for the Great Lakes and the Sturgeon Bay Shipping Canal. However, during World War II, the United States Coast Guard assisted in this naval campaign by providing patrols, escorts, and search and rescue operations. In the early morning hours of June 13th, 1943, while on convoy duty, the United States Coast Guard cutter Escanaba was presumed to be hit by a German U-boat torpedo. Before any distress signals could be sent, the ship rapidly sunk. Out of the 107 crew members, only 2 survived. The lives of 3 Door County men were lost that day. Boatswain's mate, 2nd class Clarence Christensen, radio man, 1st class Leonard Delsart, and Chief Petty Officer George Larson. 2 years later, in the Pacific Theater, 20-year-old George Harris was deployed on the USS Indianapolis. After surviving a kamikaze attack on the ship earlier in the year, the ship had been repaired in San Francisco and sailed back to the Pacific on its final mission. The ship, in a top-secret operation nicknamed Little Boy, was tasked with delivering the equipment and materials that would be used to make the first operational atomic bomb. As the Indianapolis sailed back to the Philippines, a pair of torpedoes from a Japanese Imperial Navy submarine hit the ship, causing it to sink in just 12 minutes. Of the 1,196 men aboard, about 900 escaped and made it into the water. But very few life rafts were deployed, and many men did not have time to don life jackets. After nearly 5 days in the water, most of the sailors succumbed to drowning, wounds, dehydration, or shark attack. Of the 900 men who survived the sinking, only 317 were rescued. It is not known at what point of this ordeal Seaman Second Class Harris lost his life. The news account of his death was published in August 17, 1945 in the Door County Advocate, along with the announcement of the Japanese surrender and the end of World War II. William, Charles, Michael, and Philip Overbeck, all from Sturgeon Bay, joined the military during the Vietnam War. William enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1962 and served in Vietnam as a combat scout. Chuck served in the United States Army and saw combat as part of the long-range infantry patrol in Vietnam. Philip had volunteered for the draft in 1967 and was first assigned to Korea. On qualifying for officer candidate school, he returned to the United States and upon graduation achieved the rank of second lieutenant. Philip received training as a paratrooper at Fort Benning and then jungle warfare training in Panama. On assignment to Vietnam with the 173rd Airborne Brigade, he was advanced to first lieutenant and promoted to serve as the executive officer for his company. Lieutenant Philip Overbeck was killed on June 10, 1970 by an explosive device while on an operation in Binh Dinh province of Vietnam. Michael was currently serving in the United States Marine Corps and was awaiting his orders to Vietnam when the family received word that Philip had died in combat. Michael was reassigned and escorted Philip's casket home from Oakland, California to Sturgeon Bay, where full military honors were given to the fallen soldier. There are more personal stories of loss and tragedy that I wish I could share with you today. All of these stories truthfully convey the acts of courage and sacrifice the soldiers from Door County have demonstrated throughout the past 160 years. As we approach the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, it is a stark reminder that our nation continues to be at war. More men and women have answered their nation's call and participated in the resulting military conflicts that have spurred from the fateful events that occurred on 9/11. Since that time, there have been over 7,000 American lives lost, 3 of which were from Door County. Ensign Christopher O. Simon was the first casualty in Operation Enduring Freedom while serving aboard the USS Gary on April 6, 2006. The wreath to my left is in remembrance of Army Sergeant Luis Greasy, who lost his life in Iraq on October 31st, 2007, after an improvised explosive device detonated near his vehicle. Our most recent loss occurred on March 16th of this year. Air Force Staff Sergeant Will Gonzalez, who is currently serving on active duty in Guam, leaves behind a wife, daughter, and an unborn child. The flowers to my right are dedicated in his memory. Their sacrifice is a true expression of selfless service, one that no one would pick for themselves. Whether they volunteered at a time of war, served during peacetime, or never expected to wear our nation's uniform until their draft card arrived, they represent the best America has to offer. We feel their loss roaming the sacred hills of Arlington National Cemetery and in the other final resting places around the world. Too many mothers, fathers, siblings, and children feel the immense weight of seeing an empty chair year-round. For them, Memorial Day brings to the forefront what is always present in the background. Let us honor the memory of those heroes who are no longer with us, and let us strive to live up to the example set by such selfless patriots each and every day. For it is only through their sacrifice and devotion to duty that we are able to stand here, a free people in a free nation in a not-so-free world, and be able to reflect on the devotion and love of country of our fallen comrades. We salute them all. Today, in honor and remembrance of all the soldiers who paid the ultimate sacrifice, I will now call on the post commanders to read the names of the fallen veterans from Door County. After each name is read, Assistant County Veteran Service Officer Nathan LeClaire will toll the bell. The first of the organizations is American Legion Post 72 Commander Deb Lagerquist.